Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we have got Courtroom Consequences video. And this is top 8 most chaotic courtroom moments of all time. And guys, we are at 980 subscribers. We have 3 days. Do you think you all have what it takes to make it so I get to 1K before the end of the year? I don't think you do. I'm challenging y'all now. I don't think you got it in you. I don't think you got it in it, but, you know. We'll see. I've been proven wrong before, but I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong here. We'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and comment your thing down below. Let's go.
Let's go.
He want to play crazy. He wasn't crazy when he killed my son, man. He wasn't crazy then, but he crazy now. All of a sudden he crazy now. You want to lay in a mental hospital? You done murdered my son, man, for nothing. When he was trying to get away from you was trying to get away from you, man. And you kept shooting him while his back was under the truck. You kept shooting him, man. You kept shooting him.
This is Paul Wade. The 31-year-old stands accused of murdering Edward Lamont Smith and Alexis McCrary in Louisville, Kentucky, and he's appearing at Jefferson County Court today in front of Judge Ann Haney for a preliminary hearing. The proceedings get off to a nice, polite start, with defense attorney Aaron Kennedy Startzman exchanging niceties with the judge as Wade is led into the courtroom.
Now I will say good afternoon. It just turned noon, so good afternoon. Aaron Kennedy Startzman. I'm standing in for Rob Eggert on behalf of Paul Wade. This is a little bit different. Mr. Eggert is retained on...
However, as Startzman introduces her client, a disturbance builds in the gallery, resulting in the crowd being shushed loudly by the sheriff's deputy. At the center of the mounting disruption is this lady, who is seated behind the front row at the right end of the bench. Sensing the growing disquiet, the court officers are taking no chances. The second deputy leaves his post at the judge's bench to approach the woman and give her a stern warning.
Quiet in courtroom.
Mr. Eggert is retained on the 2 revocations.
Despite this, the woman continues to grow more belligerent, and the judge pauses the proceedings as the deputy climbs the railings to get closer to her, telling her if there's one more outburst, she'll be out. But the judge has already seen enough, and she orders the lady out.
Ma'am, you're going to have to leave the courtroom.
We all family.
Okay, y'all got to not talk. Okay. No talking in the courtroom. Go ahead.
Peace seems to be restored to the courtroom, and the rest of the hearing plays out smoothly. But as Wade is let out at the end, all hell breaks loose.
What the? This judge is actually just like, yeah. Oh no. I was like, yeah, I'm not good. Oh, what the hell's just broke out here? Who were this entire, was this all just one family against him? I'm going to assume. Why were they all allowed in this courtroom is another question. Because it seemed like there weren't many people, just that family. I don't know if there were people on his side, but it didn't seem like it. Like, what the hell?
The defendant strides toward the door, flanked by a deputy, but as he passes the gallery, the family members of the victims erupt, rising from their seats.
I thought this was the victim's area. It looked like it. It looked like the victim's area.
It's in a hail of profanity. The second deputy runs toward them as they swarm around Wade. Watch as he scales the gate in an attempt to hold them back.
He does some finesse to him. Watch this. Watch the finesse. Look at
The camera view
He got leaped over in one go. He went ahead.
switches to Judge Haney, and though we can no longer see what's happening in the body of the courtroom,
You could hear all our chaos going on. It's fucking all hell about to break fucking loose. Paul Wade, my man, just fucking got under everybody's skin. Well, I don't even know if he even said anything or did anything. It seemed like everyone just... I know he murdered 2 people, so that's probably enough, but damn.
The judge's expression says it all. What's happening off camera here is that Wade is running toward the judge's bench, with one of the gallery members giving chase. Watch as Wade escapes through a door to the side of the judge, while his pursuer mounts the bench and jumps past Judge Haney.
Hey, Judge, real fucking helpful protecting the person. She probably like me. She probably doesn't care about the guy at all. I wouldn't either. I'd be like, fuck, you're on your own, bro. Please ain't helping you. I ain't helping you. Fuck that.
Who somehow manages to keep her cool and remain seated.
She literally doesn't move. She doesn't budge. She literally doesn't budge. She's the worst. This is the worst way to commit. This is the worst attempt to maintain control I have ever seen. Ever. She's not doing. I don't get control here.
Eventually, after repeated cries for assistance, one of the deputies notices and the judge motions toward the door to indicate that Wade has fled. The chaos can be heard continuing out in the hall, where Wade is once again apprehended.
I don't know if that was... Her wave said help too. She has this arm movement that she's not even pointing anywhere. She's just doing this arm move with something in her hand saying help. And it's this weird thing, arm movement she's doing.
As a result of the incident, 4 men were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct.
I'm not sure. I think this is a good example of what disorderly conduct is when all fucking hell breaks loose. No, she was not. Don't you tell me that. Don't tell me this is an 8th grader. An 8th grader of all the kids. Listen. If an 8th grader is going to shadow a judge and watch the judge, you probably shouldn't have it be a murder case. Probably should be something else. That's all I'm going to say. Probably have him shadow the lighter cases where emotions won't be that fucking high. Oh boy.
As a result of the incident, 4 men were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing governmental operations. In emotive cases like this, herd mentality often takes over, but more often than not, chaos in the courtroom is caused by a single lone wolf, like Jason Wilson. Wilson is in court to deliver a
Guy's screaming at him named Terry. He's gotta be named Terry. Cause he just keeps going, Terry, Terry, Terry.
victim impact statement on the murder of his sister Misty after her husband, Tristan Lamoureux, pleaded guilty to the crime. Misty Lamoureux's body was found on the bathroom floor of the couple's apartment, having been shot 5 times in the head with a handgun. As Wilson passes through the gate and toward the podium, he shoots a long, hard stare at Lamoureux. He begins his statement before Judge G. Michael Westfall, but as he describes the impact that his sister's death had on his life, he grows overcome with emotion. Lamoureux is unfazed, continuing to rock in his chair as Wilson turns toward him to address him directly, asking him why he did it, and you won't believe what happens next. As deputies rush to push Wilson back, Lamoureux suddenly moves as if he's going to retaliate, and a deputy jumps in from behind, wrapping his arms around the convict and pulling him backwards to the ground.
Yeah, they fucking slammed his ass into the ground. He got up as if he was gonna do it, and they were like, fuck you, bring you down. Both of them were brought down. And then there's this guy who's just watching all fucking hell break loose, and he's just sitting there. There's probably more just sitting there cuffed and like, well, I ain't doing that now. I'm gonna look like fucking saint now.
On the other side of the table, Wilson is getting the same rough treatment. As the deputies fight to restrain both men on the ground, it seems like Wilson is putting up more of a struggle, while Lamoureux just lies there. Let's watch again how fast the whole incident unfolds.
I mean, in fairness also, he probably did it. He literally is cuffed. And he is being slammed to, slammed to the ground as hard as he could. I don't think he's gonna move much.
Folds.
It's pure emotion on the other guy. Paul, I believe, is on Wilson. Wilson's literally pure emotion, so he's not thinking clearly at all as this is going down.
Wilson is eventually subdued and cuffed, and as the deputies pull him back to his feet, he apologizes profusely for his outburst. He is led from the courtroom, and despite Iron County Attorney Scott Garrett saying that he plans to charge Wilson with disorderly conduct, no charges are filed in the end. Tristan Lamoureux.
It will all depend on the judge. It will all depend on the judge and the attorney. Now, the attorney, even if you do it, the judge might just say no to it. Because the judge might be like, look, it was emotions run high. You can understand, again, it's his sister that was brutally murdered for just no real reason. This guy's rocking back and forth like he's fucking has no emotion on him. It'll cause someone to snap.
Was sentenced to 15 years to life for the murder of Misty. Lashing out at the defendant in retaliation for the murder of a loved one is one of the most common reasons for physical altercations in the courtroom. But sometimes, on rare occasions, the aggressors end up protesting in favor of the person on trial, like in the case of Tracy Hunter. As an ex-judge, Hunter has had a huge fall from grace, and she now finds herself before Judge Patrick Dinklacker at Hamilton County Common Pleas Court.
Hold on, his name is what?
Judge Patrick Dinklacker.
That is the best name.
Finds herself before Judge Patrick.
That is the best name I've ever. Patrick Dinklacker. That's the best name in the history of life.
Dinklacker at Hamilton County Common Pleas Court in Cincinnati. Hunter was originally convicted of charges relating to abuse of power after she leaked confidential process out for an incredible so that he could keep Hamilton County Common Pleas Court in Cincinnati. Hunter was originally convicted of charges relating to
why is her eyes about to pop out of her head in this damn photo? God.
Abuse of power after she leaked confidential documents to her brother so that he could keep his job as a corrections officer. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail, but with her in-depth knowledge of the legal system, Hunter dragged the appeals process out for an incredible 6 years, managing to stay.
That is insane. She dragged the appeal process for 6 years and got through it for 6 years and able to stay out. That I'll give her credit. That's amazing. That is someone who knew the law. That is someone who knows the law and knows how to use that law to her advantage. Look, it's not great what she did, but it's one of them cases where it's amazing.
Free as she pursued her case through the courts. However, she has now exhausted all avenues of appeal, and today she is in court to hear whether the 6-month sentence will be.
Oh my God, she's literally found dead 6 years later. She gets to know if she's going to jail for 6 months or not. That's it. A 6-year process for a 6-month jail sentence. That is insane.
Imposed or not. Unlike most defendants, Hunter has something of a cult following, with many supporters believing her conviction to be politically motivated, and with crowds of allies gathered inside and outside the court, tensions are running high. Hunter's luck has run out, as Judge Dinklacker orders that she serve the entire sentence, and it sets in motion an extraordinary chain of events.
Number one, you pay the cost of these proceedings. Number two, you are to not violate any laws. Number three, you are to do 6 months in the Hamilton County Justice Center. Credit 1 day. Mr. or Ms. Deputy can take her away.
As the former judge stands, a collective outcry rises from the gallery, and her supporters begin to shout in protest. The deputies standing in the center aisle turn to the left, raising their arms to try to calm the crowd. However, as they do so, a woman on the right-hand side of the gallery sees her opportunity and stands, rushing toward Hunter without interruption. As she nears her destination, the deputy closest to the...
What exactly was your plan? Because she's on her side, so what she planned to do? Grab her and run? What the fuck was your plan here?
Podium spots her and frantically moves to stop her. The rising tension suddenly boils over, and as one of the deputies moves to lead Hunter from the courtroom, she begins to struggle before going limp. By now, the gallery is in uproar, and supporters cry, "No justice," as the judge turned felon is dragged unceremoniously from the courtroom.
In fairness, if she didn't want to be dragged, she could cooperate.
The woman who attempted to approach Hunter is handcuffed and led out of the court by officers. The remainder of Hunter's supporters are still incensed as they exit the courtroom, and as a result, they rally outside the court building, chanting and marching. Hunter eventually serves just 3 months of her sentence before being released. Hunter's support came from the public, and though the courtroom drama was out of line, the ultimate intention was morally upstanding. But as we see in the next video...
That's what I'm saying. 6 months? She spent 3 months. Why didn't you go for all this? If at the end of the day I was told I've only spent 6 months in jail at the maximum, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not appealing this process. I'm not making this go forever just for a 6-month jail sentence. So either I'm going to get it or I'm not.
This isn't always the case. At the Marion County Judicial Center in Florida, Travis Davis has just been found guilty of first-degree murder, along with co-defendants Brandon Banks, Kelvin Grimmage, and Keela Richardson. The 4 men are facing life in prison for shooting homeowner Courtney London dead during a home robbery in Ocala. Tensions are running high after the delivery of the...
I can never understand this. You had 4 of y'all. Why did you need to shoot? Was that girl that much of a threat? Was the homeowner that much of a threat to you that you needed to shoot them?
Verdict, and due to the known volatile nature of the defendants, extra deputies have been drafted in to maintain control in the courtroom. As the judge proceeds with the hearing, he asks the prosecutor if they can go ahead with sentencing.
Any legal reason we shouldn't proceed with sentencing today?
And everything seems to be ticking along normally, but unbeknownst to everyone in the courtroom, things are about to take a shocking turn. Watch Davis closely. Just before the judge delivers the sentences, a deputy behind Davis grabs his hand in an attempt to cuff him. Davis is having none of it, and he quickly yanks his hand away. Sensing the danger, the deputy immediately reacts, wrapping his arms around Davis from behind, and that's when things really start to kick off. A second deputy rushes over towards Grimmage to cuff him, but as he leans across the table, Grimmage pulls back. Davis uses his body weight to throw himself down on the table in front of him, and Grimmage joins in on the action, grappling with the deputy as he throws.
So 3 guys fight, and one guy, the guy at the end is just like, the fuck out, I ain't playing around with this shit, get me out of here, I ain't even doing, I ain't fuck with y'all, I ain't doing that, no.
Punches before being dragged to the ground.
Look at this, all out chaos. Only one has some sense.
Meanwhile, Davis is also wrestled to the ground, but manages to get back up, swinging his fist wildly as he lashes out at the deputies and even his own defense attorney, who eventually manages to escape around the side of the table. With the courtroom in chaos, the deputy at the back here steps in, unleashing his taser on Davis, who falls to the ground. Grimmage and Banks are also tased, though Banks hasn't joined in the fray. Luckily for Richardson, he had already been handcuffed and was rushed to the side of the courtroom when the melee erupted.
Trust me, I don't think he would have done anything anyways. His ass was just staring at the chaos being like, I ain't doing that. Look, I didn't want to be in the damn house. Look, I was in the robbery, I did the thing, but I fucking, nope. He's like, I'm...
The public in the gallery are up in arms, and a deputy orders them out, but a number of them are reluctant to go. The room is eventually cleared, and the deputies regain control, bringing Davis and Grimmage into the center of the courtroom. Before they are brought out in cuffs, Davis expresses his love for his ally. Although they ultimately face no charges in relation to the brawl, all 4 defendants are sentenced to life without parole for the murder.
That's probably why they got no other sentence. Now, if there's one thing I always find hilarious, is when you have a life sentence without parole, and then they add a bunch of fucking years, because for no reason other than the fact of just cuz. Here they're like, we're getting them life, right? They're all guilty of life? Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna... There's no point adding shit. They're going away for life without...
In cases like this, the chaos ultimately has no bearing on the verdict or sentence. However, for Carl Williams, the whole outcome of his trial was changed after a courtroom drama. Williams is on trial in DeKalb County for shooting and killing his girlfriend, Dawnjanae Jackson. He claimed that the gun went off as he was showing it to her, killing her accidentally. He can be seen here on the left wearing a black suit, beside his defense attorney who is dressed in white. Closing arguments have just finished, and the jury has exited the courtroom, while Williams stays behind speaking to his lawyer. The prosecutors gather their paperwork to leave for the day, and the mood is calm and relaxed. But all that is about to change. Suddenly, a person in the public gallery races up through the gate to the defense table, attacking Williams. A brawl breaks out, with fists flying, as more people from the public gallery, all family of Dawnjanae Jackson, join in and swarm around Williams. His defense attorney is caught up in the fracas and ends up being pushed and pulled in the melee. Deputies rush in, separating the groups and subduing and arresting the man who instigated the incident. The jury, who are in an adjoining room, hear the entire commotion, and because of this, a mistrial is later granted to Williams. To date, no retrial has been brought before the courts. The attack on Williams was a physical one, designed to inflict as much damage as...
Interesting. So, hold on, I don't know when this took place. I don't remember if he gave a year. So, this guy had a retrial, and a new trial hasn't happened yet. So, he's just been... I don't know if he's been in jail or he's been wandering. But if that guy had not got robbed, he probably would have been in jail by now.
...as possible in a short space of time. However, as the next clip shows, sometimes all you need is a verbal altercation to cause chaos in the courtroom. Lucas Kendall is appearing at Miami-Dade Criminal Court for a pretrial hearing. The former bodybuilder is charged with killing Kejuan Bird and attempting to kill Michael Smathers outside a Miami strip club, where he was just about to start his shift as an armed security guard. Kendall claims that Bird and Smathers were sitting in a vehicle watching him menacingly, and alleges that when he went to grab something from his own car, the 2 men jumped from their truck simultaneously, shouting that they were going to kill him. Kendall pulled out his Glock and began shooting, killing Bird and paralyzing Smathers. It transpired that neither man was armed, and Smathers later denied that any words were spoken to Kendall. While in jail, Kendall has been diagnosed with a number of mental disorders, and today's hearing is to determine his competency to stand trial, among other things. Kejuan Bird's family and friends are in court today, including his distraught father, Donald. The hearing starts off on an even keel, with the judge establishing competency. They then move on to the matter of where Kendall should be detained.
And then the issue is that you want him housed where?
At the same facility he's been housed.
In order to prevent him from decompensating?
Yes, Your Honor. He eventually decompensated to the point where he was sitting in a fetal position, naked, not eating, and not interacting with any human being.
While undergoing psychiatric evaluation and treatment, he was moved from jail to a mental hospital, and his attorney is arguing that he should now be returned to the hospital instead of jail. In the public gallery, Donald Byrd is growing increasingly angry with the discussion, and it's all about to boil over as he loses control.
He need to go to prison, man. Come on, church. He want to play crazy. He wasn't crazy when he murdered my son, man. He wasn't crazy then, but he crazy now. All of a sudden he crazy now. You want to lay in a mental hospital? You done murdered my son, man, for nothing. When he was trying to get away from you, you was trying to get away from you, man. And you kept shooting him while his back was under the truck. You kept shooting him, man. You kept shooting him. His back was tight to you, man. He was trying to get away from you, and you murdered him, man, like that. You murdered him, man, like that.
Eventually,
something about this guy, when that happens, is so... That guy is emotion, right? Because that's his son, who was killed for no reason. None. Just because this guy's fucking not all in the head, he thought he could kill... He killed and paralyzed 2 people. And he's now... And they're trying to say, oh, he's crazy, he doesn't need to go to jail. That fucking set the father off. I don't blame him.
they manage to coax the devastated man out of the courtroom as he continues to cry out. Kendall seems unfazed by the whole event, calmly looking on as Donald is carried out of the courtroom. He was eventually convicted of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder, and was sentenced to life in prison. No charges were brought against Donald for his outburst in court. Like in the case of Byrd, most court disturbances happen inside the courtroom while emotions are running high. However, some more volatile convicts don't even make it to their trial before all hell breaks loose. And nobody knows this better than Kevin Lyons. 23-year-old Lyons is safely confined in a holding cell at Chandler Municipal Court, waiting to be brought in front of the judge after officers in Buckeye pulled him over for a traffic stop and found that he had an outstanding warrant for DUI in Chandler. Despite
That's not even that big of a deal.
his youth, Lyons has a propensity for violence against authority figures, which is unfortunate for the detention officers, as they seem to have strayed from normal conventions by cuffing his hands at the front instead of the back. Lyons exits the cell calmly, being led at the elbow by the male officer. But as the deputy nudges him along, the situation suddenly turns. The male officer keeps his arms wrapped tightly around Lyons, who swings his body around, pulling the two of them to the ground so that the officer is on top of him. The female officer jumps in, and both deputies do their best to subdue Lyons. However, he manages to get back on his feet, and that's when the situation goes from bad to downright dangerous. The male officer pins Lyons to the wall, and given the fact that the female officer is there to assist, you would think that they would be able to restrain him. But Lyons displays an impressive amount of body strength as he wrestles himself sideways and once again pulls the officer to the ground on top of him. His legs flail with such force that a boot comes flying off, and he kicks his feet out furiously to keep the female officer at bay. She keeps coming at him, and he lands a kick to her head that is so forceful that it knocks her to the floor. The male officer still has himself wrapped around the top half of Lyons' body, and as the female officer crawls toward the men, Lyons makes a treacherous move. Watch his arms closely. He has his cuffed hands looped around the male officer's shoulder, but as he throws his leg up and wraps them around his opponent for leverage, he manages to slip the cuffs over his head, putting the officer in an unbreakable chokehold. Kudos to the female officer who...
Okay, look, I'm a man of honesty, right? I just say, that is incredibly impressive. That guy has some fighting fucking spirit. That man fights. That man knows how to fight and get down and dirty. He knew how to get the officer in a fucking chokehold, bro.
Who was straight on the situation, grabbing a baton from her colleague's belt and beating Lyons on the arms to try to get him to let go. Despite the fact that he's being strangled, the male officer continues to struggle against Lyons, and after a tense few moments, he eventually wiggles out from under the cuffs. After a few more minutes of wrestling, the male officer manages to pin Lyons to the ground with his hands above his head, and a third officer arrives as backup.
Where the hell is this officer been? There's a third one, he hasn't heard nothing?
After the chaos that has just gone down, the officers are taking no chances, and in a group effort, they painstakingly secure Lyons' hands, and he has no problem making small talk with them about his history of violence as they do so.
You know, Mama, you see my record?
No, I haven't.
Well, I hope you don't see it.
Once they're sure he's no longer a threat, they bring him to his feet. But he's still not going down without a fight, and starts to make spurious claims that the officers started it by jumping him.
Okay, you know what I mean? He's freaking as That's what it is.
He is returned to his cell, where he continues to complain and claim that he is the victim. But luckily for officers, the camera caught the entire incident, so he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Okay. That's messed up. So, I didn't do to him. Once I grabbed my wrist and started kneeling me in the corner, the camera thing on cash in.
The male officer involved in the fray sustains lacerations to his...
Wait a minute, did he just say the cameras are gonna catch it? Did the criminal say... What? How do you start shit and then say the cameras are gonna catch it? Did you think the cameras would think that you just got attacked?
face and ear. As a result of his antics, Lyons' simple DUI charge morphs into 2 counts of aggravated assault against a corrections officer, and he receives a sentence of 18 months in Douglas State Prison. It's one thing showing hatred for the officers who were tasked with containing you, but in some cases, the family of the convict is so upset that their loved one is being locked up that they can't contain their contempt toward the family of their innocent victim, like in the case of
I have seen this one other time, and anytime I see this, I never fucking understand this. How can you get mad at a family who is lost? I'm gonna assume this is a murder. This has to be. Cause no, you wouldn't get this mad if it was a DUI or something like that. It's a fucking murder, right? It has to be. And how can you get mad at a family who's had a life taken? Who had a family member's life taken by your fucking family member? How can you get mad at them? Because guess what? Gonna break some news here. If your family member hadn't taken that life, he wouldn't be in a fucking jail cell. So,
David Chavez. Chavez has just been found guilty of the murder of 6-year-old Jasmine Garcia in Las Vegas. Jasmine.
You're even mad at them as a fucking 6-year-old?
Was killed when Chavez fired at her home with a shotgun, meaning to hit the little girl's uncle, Jeffrey Sanchez, over a drug dispute. Tragically, the shot went through the wall of the house, instead hitting Jasmine as she slept. Given the emotive nature of the trial, it's unsurprising that tensions have been running high.
His family's fucked. His Chavez family's fucked for not even... Because they're acting on emotion as family member. But even if my own family member... Right? If I one of my family members heartlessly murdered another person, even if I was like thing of the family member, I might be mad and upset that he's sentenced to life in prison. I might be mad at the justice system or something like because emotions are high. The one people, even in that motion, I'm not gonna be mad at is the other family because they've lost someone. Oh, that's so fucked up.
Throughout the proceedings, the atmosphere continues to build as Jasmine's family read their impact statements to the judge. It's about to blow like a pressure cooker.
Watch me receive high school and college diplomas. They will not get to dance at my wedding.
Sentence you to the maximum allowed by law, 15 years incarceration.
Moments after the judge hands down the maximum sentence of 15 years, the defendant's family can be heard crying out in protest.
No, Your Honor. Thank you. No, Your Honor.
The hearing concludes, But the Chavez family continues to grow more unruly, and a deputy starts to escort them out. The woman in the black shirt here is Chavez's mother, and as the officer pushes her from the courtroom, she turns and directly addresses the intended target of her son, Jeffrey Sanchez, telling him that it's his fault. Her words caused Jeffrey to fly into a rage.
I can't fucking blame him. I can't blame him for this. That would cause me to fucking slap too. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you say that it's his fault? How fucking dare you?
And deputies rush in, pinning him to the wall. His fury is so great that even the wall is no match for him, and he punches a hole in it. He's eventually subdued and led from the court, and in the aftermath, Jasmine's grandfather complains about the conduct of the Chavez family.
Get it through their head that they found him guilty. We're never gonna see her again. At least they have him. What more do they want from us? What do they need? They need another killing?
Do you think this is the end of it?
No, I don't. I don't.
It is not known if any charges were brought in relation to the disturbance, but the Sanchez family say they are happy that Chavez got the maximum sentence possible for his actions.
That is insane. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.